Well, I'd say that my paper turned out surprisingly well for how badly I tried to avoid working on it. It didn't turn out as good a paper as I wanted, but I think I got the point across. The major thesis was about the Boston Massacre, and how the British Authority reacted and responded to it, the trial, and the aftermath. I hated it. It was insanely difficult to get my hands on good second opinions. I already knew plenty about it, though I couldn't really cite any of said information, and it was simply too concise a subject to ask such broad questions about. What did I learn? I learned to always check the facts. There's always a realistic possibility that an interpretation I've heard from one source doesn't always match information I may get on the same topic from a different source. However, it's still vitally important to consider information from all sources, because I've also learned that though some events may be misinterpreted or incorrectly recorded, it doesn't necessarily mean that the recorder or interpreter means to translate the wrong idea. In other words, an idea I may think is wrong doesn't always look wrong in another person's eyes. The most accurate interpretation you can get comes from experiencing an event or thing for yourself. That's why I've been taught well how to analyze material, know what was happening while it was created, and draw conclusions based on those observations. By studying the context of the source as well as the source itself, I can create a profound argument. How does this relate to my final paper? Well, it's always better to write about something that carries some depth with it, as opposed to a short, shallow document that doesn't leave much to interpretation. It's also preferable to not leave all of your research up to the very last minute. Hint, hint. In respect to the short, shallow document, sometimes such material does, in fact, cover all the details I might have questions about. So in cases where I must make a massive argument concerning one small primary source, again, hint, hint, it becomes necessary to look at others' interpretations so I can fill my paper with relevant information and viewpoints, as opposed to pointlessly trying to fluff it up. Still, this entire process will carry into the rest of my life, I feel. Basing conclusions on proof is the most basic principle of science and history. This procedure will help with drawing conclusions and doing my own research, instead of giving me those conclusions and that research to begin with. Forcing people to do their own research will leave every historical study open to praise and criticism, and where there is criticism, there is room for improvement.